Welcome to the Vol Bros, presented by the Ooltewah Club. I hit the wrong intro button, but that's okay. We did the football intro because it's the transfer portal season, so that's all right. Normally we do baseball, but it's all right. Hope everybody's having a great evening. As always, we are very appreciative of the Ooltewah Club for being such a great sponsor. Looking forward to getting out there probably this weekend and get some drone footage. That'll be exciting. Playing around a little round of golf on Sunday afternoon. That'll be good. After all the rain's gone, I don't know where you are right now listening from, but here it has been raining apparently just forever. So it's been pretty wet around here. Happy to see everybody already jumping in the comments. That's what I'm talking about. Mina Likey, welcome. Great to have you. In regards to the transfer portal, which is our primary topic of discussion this evening, she said it certainly is separating the wheat from the chaff. It sure is. And you will notice there is a new icon in the bottom left corner of our screen. We are very, very excited to now be part of the Believe Entertainment Network. We are super excited about that. Over 500 shows in the Believe Entertainment Network. And so thank you to Cam Rogers and the folks at Believe who reached out to us this past week and contacted us. And we had a good meeting with them on Friday. They essentially told us that, they want a show for every university, Power 4 university, and every major professional sports team. They said they wanted our show to be the one that represents the University of Tennessee. So extremely honored by that. Mississippi Vol, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, hey, fellas, trust you and the family had an awesome Resurrection Sunday. Absolutely. He said, good to be back in the saddle again. Absolutely. It feels weird when we wait, a week, just even a week between episodes. It feels like we hadn't done it forever. And so I'm happy to be back tonight. Rhonda, great to have you, Rhonda. She said, good evening, Vol Bros and the best chat family. If they can get some safeguards around the NIL and change the transfer portal, it could be a lot better for sure. Absolutely. Mississippi Vol already dishing out some great advice. He said, before we get busy here, go on and hit that like button. Totally agree. Let's see. Rhonda said she's watching the draft. All eyes are on that for sure as well this evening. Excited to see where James Pierce Jr. goes. Should be a fun night for him. Jonathan said, hello, Evan and Rustin. I usually watch on Facebook, but I thought I'd watch on YouTube tonight. Hope everyone had a great week so far. Hey, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for joining us. Hope you had a great week too. Mina Laggy said, Ian Vol Bros, hardest working bros ever. Hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate it. Oreo Puppy Dog, welcome, buddy. He said, hey, guys, is Tennessee going to get any money back from Nico? Arkansas going after Madden? That's a good question. We might get back to that.
This is going to be a fascinating deal to watch. If Arkansas does move forward with kind of pursuing litigation to get some of that money back from the Maliavas, it's definitely going to open a door. And it might it might not just be Arkansas doing it. You might see it happen all over the country.
Let's see here. Tony said, yes, the players have too much power, so the transfer portal is ruining college football. Rhonda said, Volbro's moving on up. Hey, we appreciate that. Matt, welcome, buddy. There's a channel member as well as Mina Likey. Matt said, hey, y'all. And Mississippi also, I can't believe you guys are now part of Believe. Congrats. That's what I'm talking about. Well, so let's get right into it here. To the folks watching across all three platforms, welcome. We're glad you're with us. Now I'm just so we're all clear, I worded this question very carefully. I noticed I did not say, is the transfer portal ruining the game of football? It's not what I said. I said, is the transfer portal ruining college football? I think that's a different question, and I'll explain why. Rustin, I'll let you answer first. Is the transfer portal ruining college football?
Honestly, no, I don't think so. And the reason is kids have always been able to transfer. Have the rules changed a little bit? Sure. I'm actually okay with a one-time transfer, immediate eligibility. I think that's a good thing. I think any time that a head coach gets fired, everybody on the roster should have the opportunity to go somewhere else and be immediately eligible, because whether we want to believe it or not, most of the time kids choose schools based on the coach, not the school. And so, if you picked a school, if you picked Tennessee because you really wanted to play for Josh Heupel and Josh Heupel got fired, I have no issue with you wanting to look around and find a similar situation that, makes sense for you. Now, I think there's two parts to the question. I don't think it's so much that the transfer portal has killed college football. I think the NCAA's complete incompetence has killed college football.
It's hard to argue
It's
with that.
it's not the transfer portal's fault, and it's not NIL's fault. It's the NCAA's fault for not putting any kind of guardrails on either of them, for not having any kind of proactive thoughts or conversations around either. The NIL program has become the wild, wild west, and it's solely the fault of the NCAA. Let's backtrack 2 years ago when the NCAA, or 3 years ago, when the NCAA was saying the NIL collectives can't be connected to the school at all. Okay. Then it transitioned to, oh, we changed our mind. Now we want the collective to be connected to the school somehow. Then it changed to, oh, we changed our mind. Now we want the school to run the collective because we need oversight and we can't control it. Okay. All of that could have been avoided if they had taken a step back and said, you know what, let's spend a year and analyze this and figure out what is the best way to do this for long-term results, rather than just jumping into it and being like, yeah, do whatever, it's fine. Just make sure they're separate. Don't want them connected to the school. And now 2 years later, here we are going, actually, we want the school to run the whole thing. It makes no sense. Like, they need to get in a room. They need to figure out what can they do to make NIL work properly. I'm a big fan of buyouts. I'm a big fan of, if I think Nico Iamaleava is worth $2 million and I'm going to have to take him from Tennessee, I should have to pay Tennessee whatever they were paying him. And now, let's say Tennessee was paying $1.5 million. I may not be so quick to want Nico for $3.5 million. Because I'm not paying that buyout and what I was planning on giving him. So all of a sudden, there's an obstacle to tampering. I'm not going to be calling schools over the playoffs going, hey, what do you think? What do you give? Because that school may look at me and go, I'm not buying out your son's NIL deal. That's crazy. So I think it puts a really good barrier in there to handle and oversee tampering. It's not going to be foolproof. People are still going to do it. Desperate people are going to pay whatever they need to pay, and so be it. But I guarantee it would tamp down the tampering quite a bit. It would put a pretty strong lid on it. And then as far as transfer portal goes, if a guy, I want to see one portal period. I want to see the portal open in the spring, and that's it. Eliminate the one over Christmas break. That just creates all kinds of problems for every single person involved. Make them spend
apparently including Tennessee and teams getting ready for the college football playoff.
Right. And it forces, when the portal's open over Christmas break, when coaches should be spending time with their family, the only time they have the entire first semester to actually be with their families, they don't get to, because they're on the phone calling everybody and figuring out what's been offered. And, that's all they do the whole Christmas break is deal with the transfer portal. So let's make kids be committed. Let's only have one portal window. Let's have it toward the end of the second semester, so that, they have to make a choice toward the end of school. They got the whole summer to get enrolled somewhere else, but it's not something that, is overly detrimental. I think if you've got those kind of guardrails where there's only one portal window, it's at a reasonable time when people can make decisions, but, not create problems for everybody involved, and then create the buyout for NIL to eliminate tampering or, control tampering. I think just those two things by themselves would solve a lot of this.
I totally agree with you. The main issue here was I'm going to say, lack of foresight by the NCAA, because anybody with half a brain could have looked at what they were implementing and said, this probably isn't sustainable. Letting teams and schools do whatever in the world they want, and players transfer how many times they want. I don't know. It might cause some issues. And the fact that they just let it happen, it's 100% on them. But to answer the question, now remember I said I think that I worded this very particularly. I did not say, has the transfer portal ruined the game? Because it hasn't. Football is still football. You still got 11 dudes lining up across 11 dudes. You still got offensive and defensive linemen that are trying to battle each other to control the game, essentially. Football, X's and O's are still X's and O's. Are some people better at using X's and O's than others? Absolutely. But the game itself has not changed. But that wasn't the question. The question was, has college football ruined, or has the transfer portal ruined college football? College football is much more encompassing than just what happens on the field. It is a sense of loyalty to your school. It is the fans that are rabid fans for their team. That's why we have Big Orange Friday in Vol Nation. My favorite to this day, my favorite Joe Tessitore call was all the way back in 2014 when Tennessee opened their season. I think it was 2014, maybe in 2015, when they opened their season against Arkansas State. And which is ironic now because that was a Butch Jones coach team, and now he's coaching Arkansas State. But that game, Joe Tessitore was calling it on SEC Network. And I was actually, we had a TV on the wall behind where I'm sitting right now. And there was a couch in front of me. And I was sitting right there watching the kickoff of that game. And as Tennessee came running through the power T, Joe Tessitore said, and when you see the famed Pride of the Southland marching band run through that power T, you are swimming in college football pageantry. And I was like, boo, yeah, man, I was ready to go right as he said that. I was pumped up. And he's exactly right. I mean, it's more than just, oh, that's my team or something like that. No, man, it just means more. That's a good way of saying it. In the SEC, it just means more. And unfortunately, whereas players used to feel that same level of pride and loyalty to the color orange or whatever color their team may be, every bit as much as the fans do, if not more so, unfortunately, there are people now who no longer feel that way. And it's just about, well, who's going to pay me? Show me the money. That's what it's about. And that's really sad because that has taken an element away from college football. So do I think it's ruined college football? No, because the fans are what makes college football so amazing. The venues in college football are better than the NFL. The game day atmosphere on campuses, on when you're listening to your marching band, whatever school you listen to, obviously we are fortunate enough to have the Pride of the Southland. They are part of college football. It is an entire experience. Even if you're not on campus and you have your whole family over to watch the first game of the season, and like our tradition is we do that, and we have Ginger makes an incredible taco dip, not Barb's chip dip. It's better than that. That's 2 Butch Jones references in the first 20 minutes of our show. Honestly, didn't expect that to happen.
You're having some serious PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah. College football is not just the game. Is it 100, a vast majority of it? For sure. No doubt. But college football encompasses everything else I just mentioned. College football is when you wear your orange shirt to work on Friday because it's Big Orange Friday. College football is getting there 2 hours before the game to see the Pride of the Southland march down the street playing Rocky Top, and saluting the hill. College football is watching the Power T open. Man, that just pumps me up even thinking about it. That's one thing Danny White, I'm going to give him credit here. Danny White has embraced that, the fan experience on game days, and he's tried his best to make it even better. So, has it ruined college football? No, because the fans are still there, and they are a big part of it too. Has it hurt college football? 1,000,000,000,000% yes. That's not even mathematically possible, but it is in this case. It has. Because, unfortunately, now prices are having to go up even more, which has made it more difficult for fans to get there. And then you have players who demand even more. And you have fans who feel betrayed because their players don't share the same loyalty to their program that they do. So has it hurt college football? 100%. Has it ruined it? No, because the fans are still there. The game is still the game. And game day atmosphere is still top notch. That's my answer. And I'm sticking to it. You want to run through what folks have chimed in on the comments here? Mr. Osborne, welcome, buddy. Great to have you. He said, hello, Vol Bros and chat family. Hope everybody's well. He said, I think you just have to pull for the Vols and the Lady Vols and don't get attached to favorite players. That's actually a fantastic point. He said that'd be his advice to young fans. It's semi-professional athletics now. And he's exactly right. Jonathan said, I saw a video today where Jordan Gainey hinted at a 5th year. I would like to see him be able to come back if he can. Does that mean others get to come back?
He's in a different class from Jemai Meshach and Zakai Ziegler. That ruling probably will not affect them. They're done, but it can affect him. And I felt like that video was a whole lot more than hinting. I felt like that was him absolutely saying he's getting this eligibility back, which would explain why we didn't get Rodney Rice. If the coaches thought there was a chance Gainey was coming back, they wouldn't have offered Rodney Rice as much of an NIL package. And let's be real, he went to Southern Cal. That's 100% about the bag. So, they clearly offered the most money. He took it. And, if Tennessee thinks there's a good chance Jordan Gainey is returning, then they would not have offered Rodney Rice as much money as others would have.
Keg, welcome, buddy. He said, can we finally talk about Willie, please? Willie Martinez.
I don't think this is about Willie. I think this is about money.
Hang on, before you say anything else, let me catch everybody up. Just in case you did not see what happened today, and this is really what Keg is probably referring to here. Jacoby Thomas, who was on the thumbnail of this video, announced his intention to enter the transfer portal today. With that being said, he is a defensive back at Tennessee. Now, go ahead, Rustin.
Well, it's not just him. Christian Charles is in the portal, and Ricky Gibson has been threatening that he's going to. So I think in the situation of Ricky Gibson and Jacoby Thomas, it's a money play.
Totally agree.
For Christian Charles, it's a depth issue. They're actively recruiting DBs in the portal, and Christian Charles, same for John Slaughter. The two of them did not like that Tennessee was being very aggressive in the portal with DBs. So they made a business decision. Can't fault them for that. They did what they thought was best for them. You will not see either of them, Christian Charles or John Slaughter. I would be very surprised if you see either of them end up at another Power 4 school. They're looking.
Dayton Sneed went to North Carolina. That shocked me. Good for him. I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a connection there that explains that, because I'm not sure why you would sign a guy that's a walk-on at another school, but
yeah.
one of two things is happening here. Either they know they're getting two really good defensive backs in the portal and they've made it known to their guys and they've been honest and said, hey, these two guys are coming in and they're probably better than you. And guys are making business decisions, or they're leveraging the lack of depth to get more money.
Rhonda said we need to change whoever runs the NCAA. That's who really the position changes really need to happen.
Yep.
Tony, welcome, buddy. He said he would do one if he was in charge. He would have one transfer portal the first 10 days of January. If you transfer after that, you have to sit out a year. Also, you can only transfer twice in your career. Tyler Barron left Tennessee and went to 3 schools by the fall. That's a great point. I would agree with Rustin. So first of all, I agree with Tony. I think twice is being generous. I think you have one freebie, or if your coach is fired, something like that. And if you transfer after that, you have to sit out a year. Like, I think that's the way it should be. I agree with Rustin in that the portal window does not need to be during the season or postseason.
Yeah, I don't like the first 10 days of January because the playoffs are still going on. Right. You'd have guys holding out on their teammates,
which apparently is already happening. So
yeah,
I would wait till after the season is totally over. See, what coaching changes shake out at that point. Then the window opens for 2 to 3 weeks, whatever. Probably 2. Mina Laggy said because the NCAA is stupid. We got to make that a shirt. We got to do that. She said contracts mean something. I learned that from Judge Judy. I like it. Bobby asked a question there that Rustin answered a little bit ago. Sorry, I didn't see that earlier, Bobby.
It's really 2 people. You've got the 5-star shooting guard. I'm blanking.
Miles?
No.
And for those who are listening to the audio version of this tomorrow morning, Bobby's question was, we didn't get Rodney Rice. Who do you think Barnes is still going to go after to try to fill the shooting guard position? That's for those listening for the audio of this.
The Perry, they've offered the Perry kid from Kentucky. He's a combo guard. If Jordan Gainey's coming back, that's an immediate fill in that spot. They're still talking to the shooting guard from Oklahoma.
Jonathan said he would cast his vote for you to be over the NCAA as long as you could still do this show.
Darius, no, that's not. Yeah, Darius Adams.
Oh, I said Darius Miles. Well, you know how good I am with names. Yeah. At least I got one of them right.
So if Gainey comes back and they get Darius Adams, they're done at shooting guard. They won't sign anybody else. They would still take the Perry kid because he can play both spots.
Audrey, welcome, Audrey. Great to have you. She said, or let's have a general manager to handle, team transfer portal stuff like that. Let's see. Matt said he would do one portal starting the day after the national championship game. I think that's exactly when it needs to start. 100%. Totally agree. Rhonda said right now toilet paper is worth more than contracts. Oh, and Bobby was talking about Darius. He knew the name. He said to go along with Nate, it would be a good combo. Absolutely. Mr. Osborne said, good idea, Audrey, on a GM. Seems to be that's becoming more necessary in this ever-changing college sports landscape, for sure.
But so my only thing with that is they do have that role. They call it something different, but they have a chief of staff. His name is Billy Ray Johnson, and his title is chief of staff, and his job is literally to organize everything within the program. He doesn't get a whole lot of airtime. You don't see him very often. But when you read his job description, he oversees literally organizing everything within the program. So, all the way down to budgeting and NIL distributions. So they actually do have that job. They just don't put him out front and center.
I bleed orange. Welcome, buddy. He said, "Good evening from Cleveland, Tennessee." That's what I'm talking about. Right up the road from us. Welcome, man. Good to have you. Rhonda said, "Y'all get me on the NCAA. I won't be biased." Oreo Puppy Dog said, "I think this is a fantastic point. And this is the flaw in the system, isn't it, Oreo Puppy Dog?" And he said, "I think NIL should somehow be performance based and not give players huge money right out of high school for X amount of years, like Nico got, and they hadn't even stepped on the field yet." That's a fantastic point. If only there was a way to get people to commit and tell them you have to earn it. But unfortunately, our system's so messed up right now that it's almost inconceivable now. It's a sad situation. Jonathan said, "Let's not bring up Butch. I might have to curl up in a corner from Battervall syndrome." Mississippi Vol said, "Some of our older members know what I'm talking about, but the Beach Boys song 'Be True to Your School' unfortunately no longer has the same meaning." Amen, brother. Side note, huge Beach Boys fan. But you're exactly right. And I believe Orange said the same thing. He said players unfortunately don't feel that pride anymore. The green matters more to them. You're exactly right. Yes, that's 100% correct. Like he said, being a Vol fan my entire life, I take comfort in knowing that Tennessee fans are well equipped for any craziness the portals dish out, like a Pandora's box. Yeah, no doubt about it. Rebel Jew, welcome, buddy. He said, "How y'all been? Go Vols, man." Hey, I'm very, very blessed. So I'm glad you're with us. Absolutely. Hope Tennessee's treating you well again. Being back home here. Audrey said the spring portal needs to be closed for football, allow players to move to their new teams, and allows teams to get new players in for spring practice. Don't get stuck with having your new quarterback arriving mid-June. Yeah, absolutely. And so just Audrey is our investigative reporter, and she sent us a DM on X earlier, and I'm going to share the tweet that she shared with us here in just a moment. It's about amount of transfers out and transfers in for every SEC team. It's pretty interesting. So I'm going to show that here in just a second. Rhonda said, "If they make all this money in college, how do they play in the NFL? Will they be more eager or more like, oh, well, and not put everything into it?" I do think that obviously they all want to make it to the NFL, but honestly, if the league minimum is what, 400,000?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if you're Nico, you're making more, what is that? 5 times the league minimum in college right now. Players do think about this, and we all know that because Cooper Mays' older brother, Cade, who graduated from Tennessee, 3 years ago now? 2-3 years ago. Cade was asked before his last season. They asked him, and they said, "So are you going to go pro or are you going to come back for your last season?" And he knew the number. He said, if I can, he knew he was projected to be a, whatever round draft pick. And he said, if I can get that money to match that, then yeah, I'll come back. But if not, I'm going to go to the league. I mean, he knew the exact number. So money is involved in even declaring to go pro or not. Mr. Osborne said, "I'm not quite that old, Mississippi Vol, but I know that song by the Beach Boys, and your point is right. I think most, but not all players are most loyal to the money." Yeah, for sure. Rhonda said, "Watching recruiting has definitely changed." Oh, yeah. That would be a fascinating episode if we get Austin Price, who's an honorary bro, if we get him back on the show and we talk about that. Like, how has recruiting changed since NIL? That would be fascinating.
I think we need to be careful not to run down 18 to 22-year-olds for trying to make the most money. Like,
that's fair.
It's not their fault that there are no rules and that no one's holding them accountable to any kind of a standard. That's the NCAA's fault. And the NCAA needs to create the guardrails so that these kids aren't out there actively shopping themselves around, or like that comment said, their agent is out there actively. There needs to be all
Exactly.
kinds of rules around those agents and advisors, because those are the shadiest individuals out there. Um, so I can't fault them if a coach calls. If you're the backup corner at Tennessee and your NIL package is $40,000 a year, and Kentucky calls your family through an advisor and says, "Hey, he can come start here and get 100,000." You have to listen to that. Like you can't look the other way and pretend that's not there. Um, a lot of these kids, that's a life changer for them. They're coming from homes that have never seen some of the numbers that are being thrown at them. So they have to listen.
Elijah said he saw someone say that they use a recruiting class calculator, and if we do end up getting Darius Adams, we'd have the number one high school class in the country. Well, especially with the Native Mint kid. I mean, that's a huge deal there.
You got 5 kids total, 2 5-stars, 2 4-stars, and probably the best 3-star in the country. That's a pretty good class.
Matt said, after losing Thomas today, I'm in a bad mood, bros. I'm getting over it at this point. We'll see. We'll see.
He's just in the portal. It doesn't mean he's gone.
Hey, Matt said he gave his Tony Goat hat to his best friend on his birthday a few days ago. He hadn't taken it off since. That's great, man. I love it. If you're curious as to what Matt is referring to, if you were to go to the volbros.com/shop, and it just so happens I can put that on the screen right now. If you were to go here to the volbros.com/shop and click on headwear, we have a smoky gray and a dark mode version of the hat that has number 22 for Coach Vitello and a goat logo on it. It's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Would strongly recommend that. The volbros.com/shop. Would love it if you would go there and check those things out. We got tons of great stuff there. I Bleed Orange asked another question that somebody else asked earlier. He said, do you guys think Tennessee will get any money from Nico? Do I think they should try? Yes. Will they? No. That's my answer.
I think the whole country's watching Arkansas right now, and depending on how that goes will determine what they do. I think if they have the opportunity to go get that back, they absolutely will.
Josh asked a couple questions earlier that I starred because they're good questions. We'll come back to those. This one, he said, this is partly on Heupel. If he knew Nico was looking elsewhere in the winter, which he clearly knew, you should have cut him right then and gotten a good quarterback in the winter portal. Problem is he was doing all that right before the playoff. So you can't cut your starting quarterback the week of the playoff, and after that, then we can talk.
And these conversations are happening all the time. This isn't during the playoffs, we're going to talk NIL. I mean, in the last 2 years alone, Jalen Wright and Dylan Sampson both held out for more money. They just did it going into spring practice and not during the season. But these conversations happen constantly. This is never ending. This when you talk about the reason people are leaving Power 5 coaching, it's this. They spend every waking moment dealing with, hey, coach, so-and-so called me and I can get this if I transfer over here. Do you think y'all can match that? Now they have to go to the collective and say, hey, what can we do here? How can we figure this out? These coaches are getting so fed up with dealing with NIL because it consumes every minute of their day.
Yeah. Matt said, I'm with Rustin. If I was 19, another team offered me another few $100,000, I'm doing that. And that's the problem. Yeah, you're exactly right. Rhonda said, great point. They need a professional financial advisor outside of their own family. Yep, you're right.
So Spire Sports actually provides that. That is part of the NIL package that Spire helps provide to UT's athletes. Then there's a few other collectives like the loyalty program that Tennessee baseball uses. they also provide financial advice. So if they will listen to what's being provided to them, they actually are getting good advice.
To the 302 people watching across all three platforms right now, we appreciate you all. We're glad you're with us. Josh asked a great question. He said, do y'all like Rick going young as opposed to going with the 5-year guys? I think next year's team is a good mix of young and older guys.
You want to answer that first?
Sure. In my opinion, they have one-year player. That's it. And that's Nate Ament. Everybody else is going to be around for quite a while. I mean, unless they transfer.
I could see Darius Adams being a one and done also. He's that good.
I personally am not huge on the one and dones. I mean, look at the national champions this year. Look at both teams in the look at the team that knocked Tennessee out of the the tournament. It's all veteran guys, and so senior proven leadership at specifically the point guard position is what wins in March.
I think what you're seeing is what we've been saying for a few weeks now. There's nobody in the portal. Like, they're having to go after high school guys and put their NIL money into these 5 stars because there's nobody in the portal worth going and getting. 2 weeks ago, I was saying they need to be checking out the Lithuanian League and the Spaniard League and, the French League and seeing if there's anybody overseas that has a year of eligibility left, because the portal is weak right now. There's not a whole lot of talent in there.
Mr. Osborne probably with the best point of the night so far. He said, I don't begrudge the kids making money, but I do think there needs to be more established rules, etc., a more organized, efficient structure that all parties understand, agree with, etc. 100% agree. Yes.
100% and even if agree. And an agreement is a strong word, because the reality is every school's not going to agree. But if they can all agree to be held accountable to the same standard, that's sufficient.
I Bleed Orange said, is it true Nate is going to be like Kevin Durant? I've been hearing it. So here's why I think that kind of came up. The same guy who recruited Kevin Durant recruited Nate Ament. And he told Nate Ament, he's like, you remind me of Kevin Durant. That's where that came from. I hope it's true. 100%. I hope it's true. I would love to see it. That'd be amazing. He can shoot it. I don't think he can probably shoot it as well as Kevin Durant, but give him a year to work with Rick Barnes and we'll see what happens.
Their games are really similar. Like when you watch them, it's eerily similar to each other. And he's gained a little weight, but so did Kevin Durant 100%. When he was that age.
100%.
So, there's a lot of similarities.
Let's see. Elijah said, hey, good to see Elijah. He said, Amari Evans also has NBA upside. He could be one and done. Tony said, by the way, Kim Caldwell is cooking in the portal. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She signed 3 players who are 6'5" out of the portal. Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. Like, that's really good. That is really good. Josh said McNeely was a big miss early. He was the next Lanier type guy. Audrey with a fantastic point. Audrey said, I'm really surprised there's not more in the portal right now because of the NCAA and Congress lawsuit happening. Get a bigger bag prior to that judgment, coming from the courts. That's a great point.
But it goes down. It comes back to the people they're listening to, these agents and advisors, they don't always know what they're talking about. And so they're not getting great advice. A lot of these kids aren't.
Elijah said, I can't wait to see Nate after an off season in the strength and conditioning program. Dude could be a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Hope so. I totally agree. Now, I do want to say something because a few people have mentioned this evening about Madden Iamaleava leaving Arkansas. I just want to explain the timeline there. just in case you're not sure, his background and that kind of stuff, what happened. Obviously, that is Nico's younger brother. Madden was committed to UCLA coming out of high school. He flipped from UCLA to Arkansas on National Signing Day
for a bag.
So, and remember this is important. It was the same head coach that's there right now. So Deshaun Foster was the coach that he committed to and flipped from. So he leaves UCLA high and dry on National Signing Day, commits to Arkansas. UCLA then agrees to pay his brother to come play for them. And then Madden leaves Arkansas to go back to UCLA. How in the world, if you are Deshaun Foster, if you're the head coach of that team, how in the world can you look at all the other players in your locker room in the eye, allowing this dude that just betrayed you all to come back?
We're also talking about the same individual who in his first media day stood on the stand and tried to explain to all the media where UCLA is.
Yeah, it's in the same city where USC is.
As if they don't know what the LA and UCLA stands for. All we have to know about this is Deshaun Foster is never going to be a serious head coach. He has no standards.
We're seeing right now, yeah.
Yeah, he has no standards. He has no ability to hold people accountable. The inmates are running the asylum. He's a 3-year and fire kind of guy. Like they're going to be looking pretty soon.
I mean, pardon my language here, but I mean, Nico's dad must have Foster by the gonads. I mean, like that's all I can figure. How in the world could you let him encourage his son to flip away from your school on National Signing Day and then allow him to get you to re-sign the son that flipped away and his other one? And so now you've got, I mean, he's obviously not running the show. Nick Iamaleava is who's running the show there. I can't imagine how you could have the loyalty from your players when you allow yourself to be and your team to be manipulated and controlled like this from a guy whose kids aren't even on your team yet. Like, I cannot fathom that. You're a Power 4 Division I head coach, and he's acting like a guy who's being manipulated by summer travel team in teenage years, who has a dad who buys the whole team's uniforms. That's what it's like. That's my best analogy I can come up with. I cannot believe he allowed that to happen, and I'm shocked that his players aren't making a bigger. They might be, and we just don't know about it. But how could you walk in that locker and be like, what's going on? I mean, I could not believe it. Could not believe it. Mississippi Vols agreed that Kim Caldwell's doing well. Audrey said a lot of the agents are making big money and they definitely do not have their clients' best interests in mind. Yeah, they're making their money out of it too. No doubt about it.
Sure.
Let's see. Jonathan said, I don't know too much about the new additions to Lady Vols, but I'm starting to feel like the men's team can be very good next season and actually have decent depth.
Yeah, if they get Darius Adams,
they'll have depth.
Well, unless Jordan Gainey gets eligible. If they get Gainey, if that goes through and they get Darius Adams, they go 10 deep, and it's a really good 10.
Josh said, if we go 7-5, be ready for the fan base to be having a meltdown, basically, because of Heupel and Danny White. Danny's pricing out the common fan for greed, but we aren't getting the top players in football. Huge problem. That's fair. We're playing a talent fee, and we're seeing the talent leave the team. That's fair. And I'll put up those numbers here in just a second. He said Tennessee has the highest ticket prices in the SEC for football by a country mile. Like he said, speaking of timelines, I saw a report today that Nico was trying to up his bag hours before the portal closed December 28th, if I recall correctly. Yep. Like he said, laid back is an understatement with the UCLA coach. Herb said, "Hey, welcome, Herb. Good to have you." He said, "Do you think there are really red flags or Bama just making excuses on Adams?"
Excuses.
Do
you really think the coach? Do you really think the coach who had Brandon Miller and Darius Miles playing 3 days after they were involved in a shooting is worried about red flags?
Let's see. Mississippi Vols said, "I agree, Russ. He looked completely lost at the podium at that press conference." I just thought to myself, well, he won't be there very long. Jonathan said, "Nick has some dirt on the UCLA coach, or the coach doesn't care if he has a job or not." Yeah. Yeah. Rhonda said, "UCLA coach did remind me out of an old 80s movie, Bill and Ted, when he said that." Robert, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said they're chasing the dollar. Yeah, for sure. Josh said some college basketball media members said Gainey is 100% coming back. I hope so.
My Falcons just selected Jalen Walker with their first pick. So yet again, we choose a linebacker out of Georgia. None of those have ever panned out for the Falcons, but dadgummit, let's just keep drafting them and see. Somebody eventually will. The math's got to go in your favor at some point.
All right, so Tony said this earlier. He said, "I know there's still quite a bit of season left, but I'm a little concerned with our baseball team. Got to get some things straightened out if they want to host through the Super Regional."
Yeah, you just got to finish in the top 8. If you're in the top 8, you're going to host regional and Super Regional. And I don't see them ever dropping below number 8.
Huge series this weekend at LSU. Huge series.
Yeah, I think we're going to see A.J. Russell start Sunday. They put out their starters, and it was Liam Doyle on Friday, Marcus Phillips on Saturday, and TBA on Sunday. So I think we're going to see A.J. Russell get his first start. Who knows? Maybe Nate Snead.
I immediately thought of The Office. TDB.
Yeah. So, I think Tony will get it right. Like, they're going to figure it out. They're going to be fine. I have no concern about this team. It was really good to see in the midweek game the guys who were stepping up and really getting things started were the veteran guys. Andrew Fisher, Hunter Inslee, Reese Chapman. Like, those were the guys who were getting things really going. Gavin Keelan's almost 100%. Like, they're going to be fine.
So I'm going to put the tweet that Audrey sent to us on the screen so that people can see the amount of transfers that have exited Tennessee compared to the amount that have come in. So I'll zoom in so people can see this. This is SEC teams. The amount of players on the left-hand side of the slash is players that have left. On the right-hand side, it is players that have joined the team. I do think it's interesting. The only team, literally the only team in the entire SEC that has gained more players than lost is Ole Miss. They lost 27. They have gained 29. They're the only ones that have gained more than they lost. Now, there is one very concerning number on this screen, and it is next to Tennessee. Tennessee has lost 21 guys. Now, notice this is in descending order from lost the most to lost the least. So of the 16 teams, 14, 13, 12, Tennessee is 12th. As far as they've lost 21 guys, which there are only 4 teams in the SEC who have lost more than them. So that number is actually not bad compared to that means that there are South Carolina's lost the same amount. So there are 10 teams in the SEC who have lost more players than Tennessee. So that sounds terrible. Only losing 21 isn't awful. What is awful is they've only gained 4. So that's a net of minus 17 players on your team. Here's where that gets more important. The transfer portal window closes tomorrow. That is concerning. It closes on Friday, April 25th, which is tomorrow. So I sincerely hope that, all of our phones are blowing up tomorrow. And because we're just seeing so many new guys, being announced as on the team. But the portal window does close tomorrow. So that's that number 4. And just so we're all clear, and especially if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast and you can't see our screen right now, 4 is the lowest number of any SEC school of how many people they've gained through the transfer portal. Tennessee has the lowest number of any SEC team. Oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this. The window closes tomorrow. So that is a cause for concern. I'm just being honest here. What's your thoughts on that?
They've been rumored to be in on a lot of guys. And we may see just a steady stream of commitments tomorrow. They may have, for marketing's sake, they may have decided we're going to have a huge plunge, take over the media cycle, have, 8 or 9, 10 guys all commit on the last day.
And
I could see
that's
that.
possible. That's possible for a strategic reason. If players announce early, I'm committing to this school, then that gives all the other teams an opportunity to say, well, how much are they giving you? We'll match it or beat it. If they strategically announce it on the last day of the portal, then they could say, well, it's just too late. I've already, portal closes, that kind of thing. And they wouldn't have time to negotiate those other deals.
And to that point, look at Jacoby Thomas. You enter the portal the day before it closes.
The day before. Yeah,
there's only 2 reasons. There's only 2 reasons you do that. Either you absolutely know where you're going and you've already agreed to a deal, or you are putting pressure on a coaching staff that hasn't backfilled any of these spots to ante up tonight.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what's happened. Makes sense to me. Audrey said, of course, my Falcons are going to dirty bird themselves.
Pretty wild. Almost every year they use one of their top picks on a Georgia linebacker. And I think 1 out of the last 5 they've drafted have panned out. Like it's amazing. They just keep doing it.
Elijah said Thompson Bowling Arena is going to start on Sunday. TBA.
Mm-hmm.
Josh said, would Tony have the stones to DH Curley? For those listening to the audio podcast, Rustin is shaking his head no. Mr. Uval said, I'm with Tony. Our Saturday and Sunday pitching has fallen off the past 3 weeks, but there's no staff in the country I trust more to make it right. Yeah, that's a fair point. Absolutely. John, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. He said, I don't know if I missed portal talk with football, but man, it's really got me on the edge of
a little bit.
Yeah, we spent, I don't know, probably the last 45 minutes or so talking about it. So it's kind of, I'll give you a quick recap. the NCAA messed up. that's the 5-second version of what the NCAA, due to a lack of foresight and common sense, allowed a free for all to happen underneath their own nose. It's just ridiculous. He said, but it's really got me on the edge of getting to a point where I don't care about college football as much as I did. I think there's a lot of people who share that sentiment with you. It's not what it used to be. That's for sure. The loyalty that the players feel does not, and I'm not going to say all of them, some of them, the loyalty that some of the players feel does not match the level that it used to, which matched or exceeded the fans. Now the fans are more loyal in some cases than the players. I'm not going to say every player isn't as loyal. As far as Ole Miss having the most or the only team in the SEC with a positive ratio of loss to gained and transfers, like you said, it must be all that NIL promise at Ole Miss. Josh said the lineup for the baseball team moving forward needs to be Hunter leading off in center, Gavin Keelan second at second, Fisher third at first. Dalton Bargo hitting cleanup at third base, Dean Curley DHing in the 5-hole, Reese in right field at 6th, 7th, Cannon Peebles catching, 8th, Ariel Antigua at shortstop, and 9th, Jay Abernathy in left field.
If we were a small ball team, I would agree with that, but we're not. And I doubt you'll ever see a lineup that has Antigua and Abernathy in it at the same time. Tony is a TCU, Arkansas, gorilla ball guy, and we're always going to have the heaviest hitters in the lineup, and we're going to live and die by the home run. I really liked the lineup you put on the field Tuesday night. I thought it was well put together. It's what we were doing earlier in the season. I like Hunter Inslee in the 3 spot because he's just a clutch hitter, and he finds ways to get on. And then Andrew Fisher coming up in the cleanup. I mean, that guy, every swing's he's trying to hit it 800 feet. I like Bargo. I really like that 3 hitters in a row, all left-handed, of Fisher, Bargo, and Chapman. That's hard on pitchers when you get 3 guys that on any swing can put one 400 feet. That's tough.
Jonathan said, how do you feel about the LSU series? I really want to see Phillips move back to the bullpen. Teams have to think they're going to lose Fridays, but they have to feel like they should beat Phillips. I agree. I think teams expect to lose Friday nights because they know Liam Doyle is going to shut them down. I do think that they all feel like they got a shot on Saturday and Sunday, and that's where they got to make their move. So Marcus Phillips has to prove it this weekend that he still needs to be there, because he's had a couple rough weeks now.
Well, this past Saturday wasn't his fault.
I mean, to his credit, he is throwing against literally the best hitters in the country in the SEC, but we got to win. I mean, that's the bottom line. Herb said Keelan at shortstop when healthy out of the question. I don't think so. I mean, if Manny Marin started at short, then Keelan definitely could start at short.
I think they like Manny. Manny looked really good at short. He looked very comfortable. I think they like him there. I think if they were going to make that change, they would put Marin in short and leave Keelan at second.
This is a really interesting question. I Bleed Orange said, do you guys think eventually we're going to have player trades and similar things like that? Now, you could make the case that we just had one, but it wasn't officially a trade. Part of me would say, yeah, if players don't care about the classroom, but we do have to remember that there is more to this side of it than there is in the NFL, because there is a school element as well. And so Could that happen? I'm not going to put anything out of the question at this point, but it would be more difficult than it would be like in the NFL. I'll put it that way. But that's a fantastic question. Mina Leggy said portal play is gamesmanship, so we'll see. Yeah, it's fair. Audrey said so much for learning from the Nico situation. Yeah, you're right. Unless it works for him. That's the thing. Like it still could work for him. That's what's sad, you know? And Audrey, I like that badge by your name there. So I actually emailed StreamYard this week. They gotta get it to where our members' badges and their custom emojis will show up on StreamYard. If StreamYard doesn't get it fixed, then we're going to be using a different program that will show them. I know Restream does. So, well, not to put an ultimatum out there like we're entering the transfer portal or anything, but we will actually. We want to see those custom emojis and badges that our members are getting. Side note, hey, if you're a channel member, y'all are awesome. I'm just saying. For those of you who don't know, we started channel memberships on our YouTube channel. I will show you how to get to those. Let me pull that up here and I'll share my screen. All right. So if you go to youtube.com/@thevolbros, and well, I'm signed in, so it wouldn't show up for me, but normally right here, there would be a subscribe button and a join button. So I'll tell you what, let me open up a incognito window and then it will work. All right. So youtube.com, the Volbros. All right. So if you go here and you click on join, right there, you'll see some options. So we have 3 options. The first one is just $2 a month and you get priority reply to comments and, all the custom emojis and badges. The second level, which side note, somebody just gave us a super chat. Let's see here. Timothy, welcome, buddy. Good to have you. Thank you very much for that $5 super chat. We'll answer that question in just a second, I promise. Thank you very much.
I don't think anybody's going to want to hear my answer.
They won't, but that's going to make for good podcasting. So we'll answer that here and just say, hey, Timothy just became a member. Thank you very much, Timothy. Appreciate that very much. So here's the thing. If you become, and Timothy didn't even know this when he became a member, but he's going to be really excited now. So if you join our channel anytime between now and May 16th, you have to join by May 16th. If you join by then, we are going to send you a 25% off discount code for our merch store. So we got tons of great stuff on there. That Tony Goat hat we were looking at earlier, that you can get that hat for 20% off, 25% off. So you get a one-time 25% off. It doesn't matter what level you join at. You're going to get as a thank you from us, you're going to get a 25% off discount code that you can use one time on our merch store. Now, the lowest level, like we said, the introductory level, the supporter level is $1.99 a month, and you get the name badges, the custom emojis, and priority reply and comments. The second level is the honorary fam level, and at that level we have behind the scenes content, members only videos. Like I posted 3 members only videos just in the last 7 days. Tremendous value there. Then if you join the highest support level, which is watch party fam level, you get all the stuff that we just mentioned, but you also get a once a month members only live stream where you can join us on the camera. Okay. You can join us on screen, and you also get to join us for watch parties. We're going to have one for each major sport, one for basketball, baseball, and football. And at those watch parties, we're going to give away a free merchandise thing from our store. So pretty sweet deal. If you join the watch party fam and you show up to a watch party, you're going to immediately have a chance to win free merch from us. So And if you're at the watch party fam level, you also get 15% off at our website for as long as you're a member at that level. So just a really good deal, honestly. And that one's $14.99. The honorary fan member is $4.99. And I totally forgot this. If you become an honorary fan member or for $4.99 a month, or a watch party fan member for $14.99, you also get invited to our message board on our website, thevolbros.com. That message board has been hopping these first 6 days. And so we strongly encourage that. We've had a few people request that I'm going to contact. They didn't understand that you have to be a member of the YouTube channel to have access to that. So I'm going to contact them and let them know. But we would love for you to join us there. That is definitely probably the easiest way to talk to me and Rustin directly is on that message board, because we're both on there all the time. Wow, Tim gave another super chat. Thanks, buddy. He said, I think after getting burned by Nico and it seems our coach won't play freshmen, just go after JUCO players for quarterback and certain needs. Potentially if they're good enough. If they're good enough. But let's answer this question, because Rustin is going to have fun with this one. Because there was a whole video breakdown of Joey released today. There's been a lot of stuff in the interwebs about Joey. So Rustin, what do you think about our new quarterback?
So today, and if any of you saw it, it's floated around some. Today, Sports Illustrated has a guy who does a lot of video breakdown for them, and he did a full breakdown of Joey Aguilar. I had a fairly strong opinion of him before I watched the video and heard that breakdown. And after watching the amount of film that guy broke down of Joey Aguilar, I feel even more strongly than I did at the beginning. So let's talk pros. Pros, everyone says he's an awesome locker room guy. That's a refreshing thing, because almost all players have been consistent that Nico was not a great locker room guy, and that the outside of the locker room negotiations were spilling over onto everybody else.
Bingo.
So,
and think about the lack of leadership displayed from him, and him just skipping contracted media appearances and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's never good when SEC Network is actively telling people that you skipped mandatory meetings with them prior to games. That's not good. And it reflects poorly on everybody. It makes the university look bad. It makes the coaching staff look bad. Just not good. So from everything I've heard from every direction is Aguilar is a really good locker room guy. He's the kind of guy players like to play with. Another pro that I've seen, he has a slightly above average arm. I am not going to go so far as to say he has a good arm. I don't think he does.
He does not have a good arm as Nico had. I'll put it that way.
I don't think he has as good of an arm as Merklinger or McIntyre.
Also agree. Yes.
So, the guy that broke down the video that was released today, he has a much higher opinion of his arm. I don't see it. I think his arm looks decent on those videos because the players he's facing are not Power 5 personnel. And so it makes his arm look better than it is. He's not mobile. So the two pros I see, he's apparently a good locker room guy, which there's value in that. And he's got a decent arm. The cons, he's not mobile at all. He will not break the pocket and go get you a first down. He's not fast enough to do it. He's not agile. He looks slow running next to mid-major players. So running next to SEC defenses who are all getting
James
currently
Pierce
drafted
Jr.
in the guys like Jalen Walker at Georgia, who are all getting drafted right now in the first round, he's not running away from any of those guys. I can't stand his mechanics when he's off platform. When he's in the pocket, stable, and what we would call on platform, he throws a pretty ball. He throws a good ball. But if he gets pushed around at all, if he gets moved in the pocket, if he has to take a step to the side, take a step back, he immediately forgets his mechanics and just becomes a gunslinger. Now, if you're Brett Favre and you've got an insanely strong arm and you become a gunslinger, no problem, because your arm will make up for it. But in the SEC, with a just above average arm, if you're a gunslinger and you're trying to fire balls around and you don't have the arm strength to get it there, the SEC has defensive backs and linebackers that close space faster than anybody else in the country. And if you make an off-platform throw that doesn't have zip on it, it's getting intercepted. If you throw a ball off your back foot, it's getting intercepted almost every single time. He's Josh just made a comment about he shuffles nicely in the pocket, unlike Nico, who constantly left the pocket early and had little pocket awareness. Yeah, Nico didn't have great pocket awareness, but when Nico leaves the pocket, he can go get a first down. Aguilar can't. And honestly, there were times last year, over the last 2 years, he has 24 interceptions against mid-majors. That means he throws balls into bad windows. That means he has bad mechanics when he's off platform and forces throws. And in the SEC, that's not going to fly. And if you can't create with your feet to make yourself more of a threat with your arm, what's the defense going to do? They're just going to pin their ears back, keep you in the pocket, and come after you. I'm not a fan. I don't think it's going to work. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes in and becomes the second coming of Diego Pavia, and totally takes over the locker room. And a year from now, we're raving about his leadership ability. But it feels like, ironically, the NFL draft is happening. It feels like Will Levis. It feels like NFL teams watching a guy who is mediocre in college, and they are all going, "Oh, we'll fix him." Well, ask the Titans how well that worked out. I feel like we've got 4 quarterback gurus in our coaching staff who are watching Joey Aguilar and going, all those habit issues, all those off-platform issues, all those mechanical issues, we'll fix him.
And they might.
Like I said, I hope so, but I would not be surprised at all if Merklinger or McIntyre, either one, beat him out in the preseason.
I think that's totally fair. It is certainly going to be a quarterback competition. Yes, Joey is there now. Well, not there physically, but he's on the team. It will certainly still be a quarterback competition this fall. It will be. Let's be really honest. Whichever of the 3 of them cannot overthrow wide receivers by 15 to 20 feet that are running wide open down the field. Reed Carringer mentioned that on a tweet the other day. If they can just hit an open receiver, they're going to win the job. That's all they have to do. And they're going to have incredible numbers because for the last however many years now, we've had receivers running a step to 2 steps past the DBs, and Hooker could hit Hyatt. If we have a quarterback who can hit some of these dudes, we're going to put up great numbers, and everybody's going to be like, man, that guy's awesome, no matter who that guy is. It just has to be somebody who's going to consistently hit those receivers. That's the bottom line. Rhonda just joined our channel. Thank you, Rhonda, so much. That is awesome. Thank you so much. We will be sending you a 25% off discount code for our merch store. Timothy said Hooker threw 34 interceptions. Heupel's offense dropped that to 5. Fair point.
Are you referring to Hooker at Virginia Tech? Because if you are, Hooker threw 34 interceptions against Power 5 opponents.
Yep, that's also fair too. Josh said, I'm not saying he's great by any means, but he's got some decent attributes. And I love a guy that competes, and he will. For sure. And
like I
it's
said,
going to be a great competition.
Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. But honestly, right now, of the 3 of them, I'd be riding with George McIntyre. He has shown me more than anybody.
So Josh agrees with you. He said if he doesn't absolutely win the job, then I say throw King George out there and let him learn on the job as a true freshman. We'll be better off for it in a few years. He said, I really believe George is going to be a dude for us. Merck may transfer next year. Tony said, I think Aguilar is our best option. I also think GMAC is better than Merck. Time will tell for sure. 100% time is going to tell. Some of the other comments that came through earlier that we weren't able to get to, let's get to those now. Josh said, this is what I said a few weeks back. Football is falling behind because we're allocating so much more money to all the other sports to be in everything school. A couple of people mentioned that a few weeks ago. That's tough, man. It's tough. It's a tough situation. Rick, welcome, Rick. Good to have you. He said we're asleep at the wheel when it comes to the portal. Maybe we'll know tomorrow. We will know definitively the answer to that tomorrow. Let's see. Audrey said there's just not very many players in the portal this spring, which is going to hurt. There's tons of players, just not any good enough that you want to, that you feel like can come in, and because I think there's like some absurd number, like 400 players are in the portal right now.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of talent.
Right. Rhonda said if all these players were like Meshack and Zakai, we'd be high on the hog about school spirit. Yeah, you're right. Mina Laggy said she loved Reese Chapman's walk-up song. I agree. I do too. I don't want to lose your love tonight. That's his walk-up song. Let's see. Josh said he really hopes that home run that Levi Clark hit on Tuesday gets him going. That would be wonderful.
That's his second in a couple of weeks. He's really enjoying that pinch hitting role.
Billy, welcome. Good to have you. He said, I can understand about the money. I mean, $100,000 or even $3 million, that's a lot. But what about your loyalty to your teammates, the coaches, and the whole university? Sadly, they don't have it anymore.
It's not about loyalty. Some of these kids come from situations where their family's never seen that much money before. And there's no guarantee they're going to make it to the NFL. And so if they can go get it right now, they need to go get it right now.
Let's see. Timothy said, when has Heupel developed a true freshman and allowed them to start? That's a great question. We obviously haven't seen that at Tennessee.
I don't think he's going to develop him and allow him to start. I think George McIntyre is going to go win the job. I think he's going to prove that he is the best of the 3. And I don't think it'll happen immediately. They may even have a quarterback competition the first 2 or 3 games. But I think George McIntyre is going to win the job.
Josh asked if we had a few comments started. I do actually have 11 comments started, so I'm going to get to them, I promise. Let's see. Tony says if we win 8 wins next year, that'd be a good season. That's fair. Listen, they're still playing a Tennessee SEC schedule. It's not going to be easy. Rebel Juice said, no matter the quarterback, how do y'all think the games against Georgia, Alabama, and Florida will go? Georgia looking like an early loss. Alabama seems a toss-up with their coach. Not sure about the Gators. It's not going to be a fun trip to the swamp because they're going to be much better than they were last year.
I'm not predicting any of these things until August. There's just too many things can change. Rosters can still change. I'm not trusting any of it until I see what people actually have.
So this is the comment Josh said earlier that I told him I would start and come back to it. He said, if I had to rank how I feel the sports programs will do the next 10 years, I would go baseball would be the best, then women's basketball, then men's basketball, and then football. He said, I think Heupel has hit his ceiling with us. You want me to answer first and then
Sure.
So that, first of all, that's a phenomenal question. It's a fun one to think about too. Like this is a fun question. Here would be my reaction to that. We can't let recency bias totally sway us. I feel like there's a lot of recency bias in this ranking. Now, some of it I think is justified. I 100% agree with baseball being number one. 100% agree. Where it gets tricky is 2 through 4. Because, yes, all things considered, it looks like women's basketball is on the climb back to national prominence like they have been for, well, since Pat was no longer with us. It looks like they're on their way back to that, especially when you recruit 5 of the top 60 players in the country. So I totally understand why women's basketball is number 2. But it's really tough to put men's basketball in front of football right now, solely because we don't know how. I mean, this question says 10 years. 10 years. Well, in 10 years, Rick Barnes is going to be 82 years old. So he's not going to be. We have no idea what the men's basketball program is going to be like 3 years from now. Because I think Rick Barnes hangs around another 3 years? Yes. Do I think he lasts more than 3 years? No. I do not foresee him coaching more than another 2, maximum 3 years. Well, we still got 7 years to go in that question. So I don't think we can know definitively and even project what men's basketball will be like. So for that reason alone, I have to put them number 4. But then when you look at women's basketball and football, I mean, listen, he went to the playoff this year. You know what I'm saying? Like football, they were in the playoffs. Like they were there, right? Yeah, women's basketball were in the Sweet 16. And they were 9 turnovers in the fourth. I'm still not over that. 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter away from being in the Elite 8. So that one is tougher for me. When you're projecting, if you were to say what is it right now, I would have to put football number 2. But if we're projecting out next 10 years, I would agree with you. Women's basketball number 2, football number 3, but men's basketball, we have no idea. Nobody does, because who knows? Okay, in 2028, we might be talking about what a privilege it's been to have Rick Barnes coaching our team for the last 12 years at that point, because he's just retired at this point 12 years or 3 years from now. So at that point, we're going to be like, so who's going to be coaching Tennessee basketball? I mean, like, so that would be my only, change up for that. What do you think, Rustin?
I agree with his 4, for a little different reason. I think baseball and women's basketball, we have 2 coaches who are going to be here for a very long time, who both love their job and aren't going anywhere. Men's basketball, I think Rick Barnes has built the Tennessee job into one of the top 10 jobs in the country. The resources are there, the fan base is there. So whoever replaces Rick, I think they'll just keep the ball rolling. And just to be
they're
candid,
certainly going to be walking into a good situation.
Yeah, and just to be candid, you got 12, maybe 13 guys on a basketball team. It's an easier recruiting process than all these other sports because there's just smaller rosters. And so if you've got the resources, you've got the NIL programs, you've got the facilities, it's easy to stay good in basketball if you walk into a good situation. I would put Heupel fourth, not because he's less of a coach than the other three, but because of what we spent the first 45 minutes talking about. You're not dealing with a roster of 12. You're dealing with a roster of 100. And they're always looking for where they can get more money. And so it's just harder. And, you're in the top conference in the country. And, if the ceiling is making the playoffs every year, I'm good with that. Because there's a whole lot of other teams that are on the outside looking in, wishing they were us. So
us 4 years ago.
yeah.
I invite everybody, or let's think 6 years ago in 2019. Yikes. That a lot has changed in a very short amount of time. Rebel Jew asked a good question. He said here, we got that one. No, we didn't answer this, did we?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. Josh said
we didn't answer it. I said I was waiting till August, but you put it up there.
Oh, okay. Josh said George had a ton of coach turnover in high school, so that makes him more able to adapt quickly to certain things, in my opinion.
He also faced, and this is just the reality of Division II football in Tennessee. He faced a bunch of Power 5 kids every week.
100%.
Baylor, Tennessee,
McCallie, Innsworth, yeah.
Montgomery Bell, Father Ryan.
Yeah.
There are some unbelievable football programs in the state of Tennessee, and that's all he was seeing. So, the talent level at the Division II level in Tennessee really prepared him.
I mean, right now on Tennessee's football roster, I can think of two right off the top of my head, one from Baylor, one from McCallie.
There's 7 kids at Baylor right now that are being recruited by Power 5 schools. 7.
Yep. Timothy said, can you explain why some fans snub their nose at JUCO when they have 2 more years experience in the weight room and playing time? To me, it doesn't matter if you play at JUCO or App State, either one.
It depends on what JUCO. There are a lot of junior college football leagues in the country that are really weak, and the stats are inflated because you're not facing anybody. If you're at East Mississippi, if you're at Independence, one of those, there's some conferences that are legit, and those guys are really good players. Cordero Patterson, but the large majority of the JUCO football conferences around the country are not very good.
I will say this too. If you followed our show for any length of time, Rustin has said repeatedly that instead of sending players to JUCO, what we're going to start seeing happen is Power 4 coaches are going to have players go to programs that are mid-majors, say, hey, you take him for 2 years, then he's going to transfer to us in 2 years, so you have a chance to go win your conference, that kind of thing, while he's with you, and then he's going to come play for us. So they're going to use mid-major schools as the JUCO, as the developmental situation, and then bring the players to their Power 4 university from that mid-major university. And that's going to be an understood arrangement going into it.
Yep. A lot of schools are already doing that.
Elijah said, I do think when Rick retires, we're going to be able to get a really good coach. Barnes has turned into Tennessee a national powerhouse. And he said, took the words right out of my mouth that I was typing it, Rustin. Josh said he thinks it's easier to sustain success in basketball as opposed to football after Rick.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Jonathan said, where do you think softball would rank on that list? Coach Weekly always recruits well, and I think she wins a title before she retires.
I think it depends on who they get. Yeah, I think it depends on who they get to replace her, because she's not going to be around a whole lot longer. She'll probably
Yeah,
coach
she
5
won't
or
be here
6
10
more
years.
years.
Yeah.
You know, the logical replacements are the current head coaches at Auburn, co-head coaches. They were 2 of our assistants last year. They would be the logical people to go get. Me personally, I would want the head coach at Mississippi State. She walked into an absolute dumpster fire and turned them into a national contender in 3 years, and they are a drastically better team than they used to be. She's done an unbelievable job.
Let's see. I think that's pretty much all the questions. Out of the 440 people watching across all 3 platforms, 441. We really appreciate y'all very much. Josh said he really hopes Karen Weekly gets a championship before she retires. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. She has been so close so many times. I really hope she does. She's got the number 1 team in the country right now, which is pretty awesome. The softball team this weekend, they will be at, let's see, I got it right here. Ole Miss. Yep, they're going to Ole Miss, at Ole Miss. So both baseball and softball are traveling this weekend. Baseball, huge series at Baton Rouge against LSU. And then Ole Miss traveling to Oxford, Mississippi.
That Ole Miss or that LSU series is going to be interesting. Defensively, or I guess on the mound, pitching wise, we are extremely similar to them. Last weekend, actually the last 2 weekends, I said if we could get into their bullpens, we could do some damage. This weekend, LSU is a little unique. There's no difference between their starters and their bullpen. Everybody's basically the same, and they're all hittable. Like, nobody's overpowering. So it's really a matter of how many runs can you produce? How many can you manufacture? Can you get 5 or 6 runs a game? Because when you look at the offensive numbers, we're about equal with them in a very different way. They are a much better average hitting team than us. They're about 40, 50 points higher team batting average, but we've hit 30 more home runs than they have. So, we're a power team. They're more of a speed, small ball, hit line drives kind of team. Pitching wise, our pitching gives up almost 1 run less per game. So, if your pitching is 1 run per game better than your opponent, but you're on the road in the SEC, you can probably call that even, because you're going to probably lose a run on the road. So it's really going to come down to how many home runs can we hit, and how many can we manufacture. And I think if we can get 5 or 6 runs a game, we can probably go get 2 of these 3 games. If we have a game where we only score 2 or 3, we may only come out of this with 1 win, because they're pretty equal.
Rhonda said the thought of going through another football coaching search brings up Batter Vol syndrome anytime. She said Heupel definitely has it in better shape than when he got it, for sure.
No one should be concerned. Nobody should be concerned about a football coaching search, because there's one major difference from this time and all the previous times. Randy Boyd, Donde Plowman, Danny White.
And the college football playoff.
In the last 30 years, the University of Tennessee has never had an administration this aligned and this strong. And coaches who know what they're doing look at that and go, that's a place I want to be, because they're going to get me what I need to be successful. So our administration is actually a huge selling point now. And there will be coaches who will be banging down the door to get that job if Heupel ever leaves.
John said, I would like to see Mississippi State's head coach or the Arkansas head coach. Both of them seem to be very good coaches. He's talking about for softball.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Osborne said, as for football, the obvious goal is to win a national title. I think making the playoff 3 to 5 times per decade and win a national championship one time out of that would be something to aim for in football. I think that's a very, very fair, expectation for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Josh said he'd want the Arkansas softball coach. He said our hitters should feast this weekend on Ole Miss's pitching staff. Rhonda said, is it hard to hit homers at LSU?
Depends. Sometimes the wind blows in, but typically it blows out there. So usually it's a pretty good launching pad.
Mr. Osborne said, football pays for everything else, so you have to win at an acceptable rate as much as possible. Absolutely. Rebel G said, I don't know how long Hype will be around, but I think he wins the Natty before he leaves or retires. I hope so. He said, but one national championship seems like Heupel's glass ceiling. I'm fine with that as long as it's at Tennessee. He said, I saw a stat the other day that I hadn't thought about. They said the only softball team to win a championship this decade was Oklahoma. They have to lose a championship at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, the last thing I'm going to mention, we got 453 people watching across all 3 platforms. We appreciate all of you so much. The last thing I'm going to mention is tomorrow. So here in, as you all know, Rustin and I are based out of Chattanooga, right here in East Tennessee. And our local newspaper does a best of the best thing every year. They do not have a best local podcast category. If they did, I would say, hey, please vote for us on that. But they do have a best local e-commerce store category. And so I would very much appreciate it. I'm putting a comment in the links on all the platforms right now. I just sent it to Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to put it on Twitter right now. I'll put it on this. If you wouldn't mind, nominations close tomorrow. If you would just click on that link and on best local e-commerce store, type in thevolbros.com/shop. I would so appreciate it very, very much. I think that would be wonderful. Voting or nominations do close tomorrow. So basically what they do is they take all the nominations and whichever, ones like the top 3 or 5, they go on the ballot, and then the ballot, you vote on that one in May. So I'd really appreciate if you put us as best local e-commerce store. That would mean a lot to me. There's a radio personality category on there. I don't think we qualify for that because we're not on the radio, but I mean, if you wanted to put Volbros on that too, I wouldn't be upset about it, like you said, be kind to our hosts, the Volbros, and hit that like button. I totally agree. Also, you can vote for us on that best of the best thing. That'd be cool too. The Ulduwa Club, best golf course. Oak and Twine, best gift store. That's another one. Ginger Pierce, Marvelous Mouse Travels, best customer service. I think that'd be cool too. So there's a lot of things, but we'd really appreciate it. Also, like I said, we'd love to have you join our channel. $1.99 get you the custom badges and emojis. Josh said he'll vote. Hey, thanks, Josh. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you. And priority reply to comments. The middle level gets you access to our message board, behind the scenes content, what's the word I'm looking for? Members only videos. There we go. I couldn't think of members only videos. We posted 3 of those just this past week. Then you got the watch part. That's $4.99. Then you got Watch Party Fam, which gives you 15% off on our merch store all the time. Also, members only live streams once a month, which Russ and I are going to talk about that. We got to do one pretty soon here, and so we'll get that arranged and we'll notify everybody. And then we'll have a watch party, one for baseball, one for basketball, one for football, and at each one of those, we're going to give away a free item from our merch store. And just as a reminder, if you join our channel by May 16th, so anytime between now and May 16th, as a thank you, we're going to send you a 25% off one-time discount code for our merch store. So, and that's any level, no matter what level you join at. Well, so you could do the $1.99. We'll send you a 25% off your purchase. So Rebel G asked, when we getting a Vol Bros podcast? You're on it right now, buddy. This is it. So that I think you might have meant a different question. I'm not sure. Oh, Mr. Osborne, thank you, buddy. He said nominations submitted, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You're the man. Thank you. Mina Lackey is using her custom emoji. She had the Go Vols baby emoji right there. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm working with StreamYard. I'm talking to them. We got a little conversation going back and forth. They got to get this set up to where we can show them on the screen. If not, we're going to enter the transfer portal from StreamYard and go to Restream, and that way we can show them on the screen. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. This is our first episode as part of the Believe Entertainment Network, and we're so appreciative that Believe, thought our show was something that they would want to be a part of too, and they've signed us on as their network. So we're really appreciate that. We hope all of you have a great evening. Rustin, you got any last thoughts before we end the show?
We're on pick 23 of the first round, and Shadur Sanders is still sitting with his family. It would not hurt my feelings at all if he didn't get drafted today or tomorrow and fell to Saturday. That would be the highlight of my year.
So now that we're ending this show, eyes can turn big time to that draft, because James Pierce Jr. should be coming off the board within the next hour, hopefully, hour to 2 hours. So looking forward to seeing where James goes. Let's see. Elijah said, Night Bros, go Vols always. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you said, voting ends tomorrow night. That is true. Mr. Osborne said, excellent show. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Josh said, I think Jackson Dart will be drafted before Shadur Sanders.
I think whoever gets Kyle McCord gets the steal of the draft. I think he's the most NFL ready quarterback in this draft.
Carl said, great show. Been watching. Hey, appreciate that, Carl. Thank you so much, man. And Jonathan said, good night, everyone. Great show as always. I'll see everyone back here Sunday night. Hey, I appreciate that. That's right. So Sunday night, 9:00, we're going to have a baseball series at LSU to talk about. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we hope everybody joins us then for sure. Rebel Jew, totally agree, man. He said, I can't wait to see where Dylan Sampson goes. I agree. Totally agree. Rhonda said, thanks for a wonderful show. Have a great weekend. Matt used his Go Vols baby emoji. Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about. We hope everybody has a great evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate all of you. Thank you to Believe Network for having us be a part of that network now. We hope all of you have a wonderful evening. Go James Pierce. Hoping for the best for him. He gets drafted in the first round. That'd be awesome. Josh said Sunday night celebrating a series win at LSU. That's what I'm talking about. Hope everybody has a great evening. I'm going to click the correct button this time. So we're going to do our baseball outro.
I just thought you did football because it was draft night.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's exactly why I did it. That's exactly why it happened. Robert said he hopes that, I think he's talking about James Pierce Jr. He hopes he doesn't go to Green Bay or Washington. He might have been talking about McCord, though, because you were talking about McCord. I don't know. We appreciate everybody so much. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Go Vols, baby. And we will see you all Sunday night at 9.